Hi everyone. Before we begin, we're hoping that by the end you'll realise that cloud software is a good thing, despite having to work at home and despite having to make tax digital. Just the very fact that hopefully you'll see by the end of the session that it really is quite good and much better than desktop or writing it on a spreadsheet or even handwriting it in a book. So we'll start going then. If we can have the first slide, Georgina. I've been at Pierce a long while, an awful long while, about 30 odd years. So I've seen absolutely everything from Pierce getting the first Amstrad dual floppy disk drive right through to today when we're using cloud all the time. So we've seen everything going on. Hi, Carol's partner. So we'll go straight through. I'll not bore you with the agenda. I'll just talk to you as we go along. So first of all, none of us expected this, did we? None of us thought we'd see our washing line with masks on. None of us thought we wouldn't be going on holiday. It's just been unbelievably the weirdest time we could ever have. But cloud accounting really has come to the fore during this. You can just carry on, but you're sat at home or anywhere. You can just log in anytime, anywhere with an internet connection. If you were stuck in Spain, if you had an internet connection, you can carry on working. You're not having to update your PC. You're not having to update your software. You're not having to check that your network's going to work. Everything is available as long as you've got an internet connection. So what did we do at Pierce? We actually use cloud accounting at Pierce for our own internal bookkeeping. That was absolutely seamless. Our internal accountant and everyone who needed it could carry on absolutely as usual, but they were sat at a desk at home rather than a desk in the office. But also our team, our online services team, we carried on as normal, just helping our clients as if we were sat at our desk. Everything was absolutely straightforward. And during lockdown, and Carol will chat to you later, we've converted quite a number of clients from desktop systems, from spreadsheets during this lockdown period, because it's in the cloud. We've been able to help from beginning to end, even during this time. Now our clients, they've also carried on as usual. We have some very big clients who use the software with a lot of users. They've all been at home working as if they were sat in the office together. They've just continued. Surprisingly, we've had a lot of clients that have gone onto the cloud software during lockdown, a surprising number, and it's really benefited them. We've just been able to carry on doing the training and everything as if we were all sat in the office together. But it's where the benefit work at home, the issues, cloud software or some software is needed because HMRC are extending the Making Tax Digital system, which I'll explain to you. They'd sort of put it on the back burner. They started with the VAT clients who had a turnover of more than 85,000, but they've now realised that worked extremely well. In fact, they realised that the RTI system for payroll was working extremely well, and that helped them target the furlough pay, and they found that they were struggling, for example, to target self-employed grant schemes because they're a year behind with their data. So they've decided to put dates in place for everybody that's VAT registered, and shortly for self-employed and small businesses. Originally, it was from April 19, any tax registered entity over 85,000 had to be making tax digital. But from April 22, it's anybody VAT registered. And from April 23, it's any unincorporated business or landlord turning over more than 10,000. They will have to do, even though they're not VAT registered, there'll be some quarterly reporting for the self-employed or the small sole trader, anything unincorporated with more than 10,000 turnover. They're even eventually going to have making tax digital for corporation tax. It's probably the most complicated one, and they're going to publish a consultation document later this year. Why are they doing this? They've realised the Making Tax Digital scheme that they started in April 19 is working extremely well. And now they've decided it should include every form of tax. Going forward, Making Tax Digital for VAT is what we've been mainly involved in up to now. But from 2023, it will be the small unincorporated businesses. We'll give you all the dates, but what I really want to stress is you don't need to wait for the dates. You can change to cloud software whenever you want, but you will have to change by certain dates. So we'll talk about the VAT first of all. Going forward, for anybody who's VAT registered but under 85,000 turnover, you can't just log on to HMRC anymore and key in your boxes 1 to 9. It has to come through a recognised software that HMRC have approved, be it an up-to-date Sage product or the cloud products, etc. There is a way of carrying on using Excel, but that has then to be linked to a third-party product, and then you have to export your Excel into the third-party product in order to send the data. Now, at the moment, they're only collecting boxes 1 to 9 of your VAT return. They're not collecting the data that hangs behind each box. However, they talked about it at the beginning that eventually they'll collect all the data. So we don't think the Excel spreadsheet and using some third-party software will be viable down the line, because they'll want all the data behind every box. At the moment, it's an option, but I don't know how long that will be. There's also something else to note. If you're a big company and maybe you have some software like we do for our sales, there has to be, from April 22, an electronic link between all the softwares that build up your VAT return. So if you can export from, say, your sales software into Excel, you then to be able to import into the software that is going to eventually be sent to HMRC. They've called it a soft landing up to now, but we've already helped a number of clients with other products that link to the bookkeeping software to make sure that it works seamlessly from April or April 21 even for the soft landing. You have to have Making Tax Digital for VAT compatible software from 1st of April 22. It really is important that you've got something in place. These are the absolute latest dates that you can sign up for the VAT. what we're pleading with you is, because we've learnt the hard way when we did the clients from April 19, you can sign up and you can get set up much earlier than these dates. We had issues, and even software houses had issues with people waiting till the last moment. We were inundated in April 19, whereas if you sign up and get ready now, you're already ready. You haven't got a rush or a panic or a worry. You're already signed up. But the latest dates for VAT with less than the 85,000 turnover, if you have a March quarter end, it's May, 15th of May 22, April quarter end, 15th of June 22, and a May quarter end, 15th of July 22. But I mean, Georgina would tell you too, the ones that were ready before then had the software in place. It was just like normal. There wasn't a rush or a worry. The clients who weren't ready, it was a big panic to get them all set up in time. Obviously, there's 6, probably 7 of us in the team shortly. But even with 7 of us helping everyone, it's an hard stretch to get everybody set up at exactly the same time. When you do eventually sign up, what was happening at the last minute in April 19, people didn't have to hand the things they needed. You had to have your VAT number, your log on, your registration number, your UTR, but you had to state in the setup that you had Making Tax Digital compatible software. They have kept the link underneath still works for signing up for Making Tax Digital. So you can literally sign up anytime you want between now and then. But obviously you have to have the software in place first. I've said really, it really does come quicker than you realise. And what can we do to help you? A lot of people feel that cloud's really new. Back in 1998, it was being used mainly by some big organisations. And from about 2009 onwards, it's become more and more popular. Now, I did this slide last year, maybe 18 months ago, and back then 50% of small businesses were using cloud software. So it is worldwide and well known, and it has been developed for over 20 years now. What we did at Pierce's quite a number of years ago, and these were the 5 most popular products for cloud at the time. We do some internal VAT for clients that don't have a bookkeeper. So we put at least 10 clients on each of the 5 softwares shown there, so that we get to know them all initially and we'd know the quirks of each one. So with 10 on, now Sage 1 is now called Sage Business Cloud, but in essence it's the same thing, it's just called Sage Business Cloud now. They all have the pros and cons. Free agent is interesting if you're a small business and you want something quick and easy. It's free if you're a NatWest or an RBS client, but it has its quirks, quite a few quirks. But, you know, if you're a small sole trader and you want something easy, it's okay. QuickBooks Online isn't a bad system. It has its quirks as well. From our point of view as accountants, the audit trail isn't very good. We find that a bit difficult. Cash flow, that was the first one we used. It was one of the market leaders initially. When we were trialing it, you could only have one user. So no matter who was using it, you all had the same log on. So there was no trail of who's done what. You just all had the same log on. I believe They've improved it since then. Again, had its quirks and so on. But we really do like the Zero, which we will demo for you later. But as I say, we have an understanding and a knowledge of all of them. I just read this the other day, that a technology firm, a financial technology firm, did a survey of small business clients, and 72% that replied didn't understand the concept of bank feeds in the bookkeeping and how it could benefit them. Well, hopefully we'll show you that as we go through. So it's just something that I noticed the other day. So as I say, we deliberately put the jobs we do internally for clients who can't do their own on each of the products. And what we wanted to do was offer choices to our clients. Instead of saying you've got to go on Xero, you've got to go on QuickBooks Online, which some accountancy firms are doing, we try and help you find the best fit for your particular business. HMRC also have the approved software list, and again, that I checked the link this week and it's still up and running, so you can see which products are available. Our preference overall is Xero. It's easy to use, it's always up to date, the bank feeds are straightforward. What happened, we had an extremely large client whose bookkeeper fell ill, and they really wanted our help for a period of time. But unbelievably, they had a replacement bookkeeper in, and she also became seriously ill. It was just a terrible set of events. And they said, help us, please help us. So we got them set up on Xero. They sent electronically all their sales and purchase information to us. And we literally did their bookkeeping, despite it being a large firm with 5 different outlets, for want of a different word. And we kept them going for over 12 months. Thankfully, the bookkeeper fully recovered. And then the following January, we started training up their staff and they took over. It was just that they were ill before they could even learn, rather than being able to know the product before they became ill. Now, our managing director at that time was so impressed at how well it had worked. Pierce started using Xero internally, and it's just gone from strength to strength. Now, we're going to just pause for a moment while we go into a demonstration. Lovely. So on our screen, we've got a demo of Xero. We'll go through the normal basics first, but then we'll explain why we think it's so good. If we go to business and invoices, and if we pick, say, the Bayside Club invoice that's there. So this is where you can key in your sales invoices. Not to forget that if you have other software that can link either seamlessly or via an Excel or a CSV file that can be exported and imported into Xero, but you would type in their name and whatever they were buying and however much it comes to and so on. I don't know how you work now, whether you do handwritten sales or whether you do them in Word or Excel. But once you've typed in, if you could do a print of the PDF. The whole idea is, because it's on cloud, of course you can email them. Just because of this demo, we just show you what it looks like. It would normally say invoice at the top of the screen, not tax invoice. Lower down the screen, there's an option to put your BACS details in. Some clients like the payment advice that they can cut off, some clients don't. The template can be altered to a reasonable degree. It wants the header info more or less in the header, the middle info in the middle, and the footer info in the foot, but you can move things about to a reasonable extent. If we close that one, Georgina, and we just open a really silly option on the demo, but you'll see that you can you see where it says at the moment, Demo Co, branding theme standard? We'll just change the standard theme to another template in effect. So if we choose that really orangey one, and we'll update, we'll show you that you can alter the invoices and how they look, but not always to a good degree. It's just an extreme to show you that you can change it quite a bit. So they've done that on purpose to show you you can change it considerably. But what we do with the ones we send via our Zero, we email them all to the clients. So we have no postage or anything, they're literally emailed. Obviously, we can't do that on the demo, but you'd literally click on the email and it would send it with the PDF attachment. So if we choose business and bills to pay, this is where you would, if we pick another one, capital cab maybe. There are 3 ways of getting your purchase invoice in the system. Number 1 is keying it in, just like we could key in the purchase invoice. Number 2 is keying it in and then dragging a scan of the invoice into the paperclip area on the screen. Can you point to that, Georgina? It's just dragging slightly because we're all on. That's it. And finally, you can use products, UbDoc, Receipt Bank, Auto Entry, where you can send the physical invoices to a third-party product, and then they can be imported into Xero. And these products start to learn that if you've got a bill from Pierce, it's accountancy and it's vatable. After you've told it the first time, the second time it gets a bill in from Pierce, it thinks, oh, it's accountancy and it's vatable. It starts to learn. We use it at Pierce's. Our internal accountant scans in all the purchase invoices that have been approved, and then the following day they're put straight into Xero. It is time saving, but there's also, if you get an invoice in via email, there's a bit of a convoluted way of getting it into Xero without having to key in. Now, we've tried it and we don't think it's very good at the moment, so we tend to do a PDF of the email and drag it in, but they are improving all the time. So the main reason we love the Xero, if we go to accounting and bank accounts, and if we choose to reconcile the 28 items on the screen, now what it does, on the left-hand side of the screen, it is a replication of your real bank statement. And that side of the screen can come in by a direct feed from your bank, depending on which bank you use, depends if you can have a direct feed. Most banks can now. We're struggling with Handelsbanken. You can import the bank statements from your online banking. And thirdly, you can do an Excel spreadsheet of your online banking and import it that way. But usually you would opt for a direct feed. Obviously, there isn't a feed here because it's a demo. But to get an idea of the time saving, I help a client every month who used to be on a desktop system. And when I went to do the bank each month, a big client again, I'm not lazy, it took 11.5 hours a month to balance the bank. And we persuaded them to go on zero. And partway through, 2 weeks through the first month, I decided to have a go in the bank. And the first 2 weeks took me about 3 hours. So a month would take me 6 instead of 11.5. And that was, the difference was phenomenal. Almost half the time that I'd used before. So what does it do? On the left-hand side, you can see Truxton Property Management Rent, and it can see that it's got a payment of exactly the same amount for the same people on the same date. If you click OK, which you can do, Georgina, clicking OK has processed the purchase payment and it's balanced, it's reconciled that part of the bank. In this case, Ridgeway University invoice 35, it's found that invoice. So it says, do you want to match? And yes, we do. So again, we say, okay. So we're not keying in a sales receipt and we're not having to go through a bank reconciliation. If we pull down a little bit, the smart agency, it hasn't matched. If we choose find and match on the right hand side and type smart in the reference, it's having a think. And can you see the 2,000 and the 2,500 match up? And you literally again click OK. So again, you've keyed in 2 sales receipts and balanced your bank. Just look at Swanston Security, if you try and find and match that one. Can you see the payment's been made for 59.55. The invoice has gone in at 59.54. It's literally a penny out. What we've said to clients, rightly or wrongly, don't tell the auditors. If it's less than 10p, you can do a minor adjustment. They're usually a penny. Generally speaking, they're a penny. And we feel up to 10p, it's not worth editing your purchase invoice to straighten it out. If we reconcile that one, then going back up the screen a little way, you can set up rules. I set up a silly rule with 7-Eleven for this demo. And I've said, if you've been to 7-Eleven, assume it's subsistence. But if it isn't subsistence, don't apply the rule. And you can key in and say, I bought some cleaning stuff from 7-Eleven. But if you'd bought a sandwich, you could have just clicked the button, if that makes sense. And then you'd put in what it really was and click OK. Finally, higher up the screen, Ridgeway Banking Corporation, it started to learn. It learns what you do. And it's saying last time you had a banking corporation fee, you put it to bank fees. Do you want to do that again? And you can just click OK and it's done it for you. Now then, if we go to the old profit and loss, Georgina. So simply that was clearing your bank as you go along. Why are you keying all this in? Why is it worth it? Why is it better than an handwritten book? Why is it better than a spreadsheet? We've had a number of clients recently and during lockdown, and they've needed to know important things about the business. We have one very recently that up until the end of June, they were literally doing a spreadsheet every day of how much every project, how many sales they were getting per project, how much cost per project. Now, I know it's not the same, but if we click on compare regions for a moment, it's just under the, that's it. We've used a thing called tracking for a number of clients. In this example on the demo, it's comparing north, south, east and west, the sales and the costs. We've done it for clients who have more than one office. We've done it for clients with different types of business. We've done it for clients with different salespeople, so they know how many sales each person has made compared with their costs. We've done it for clients with, they have projects, and the client who started on the 1st of July cannot believe, 3 of them have rung me up, the director, the finance director and the bookkeeper. I can't believe I don't need to keep the spreadsheets anymore, because it's telling them what they need to know. And if you have more than what you can fit on the screen, you can send the information to Excel. You can look at one project individually rather than them all, or you can look at, for example, on this example, if we go back to the top, they've got what we call unassigned. Well, if you're doing it properly with the tracking, you'd never have anything unassigned. They'd all go to a project. If we just go back to the normal profit and loss now, Georgina, if we just compare periods, yeah, current, yeah, that's fine. So it's just and you can have it as a normal profit and loss split month by month. Again, even if I didn't know this client, which obviously it's a dummy, if we pull down a bit more, I'd be querying things. Why is there that big subscription in April or whatever? You can click on it and it drills down, and we'll be able to see PC and then we can drill down again if we're still unsure and look at the exact invoice to which it referred. So there's a lot you can do. I think that's about it for the demo. We'll just go back to the main PowerPoint now. We'll do questions and things at the end as well. Yeah. I mentioned receipt bank and auto rec in passing. There's another product up now that isn't quite as good, but basically all of them, you can use them to put purchase invoices in, and bank statements if you haven't got a bank feed. We'll go to the next slide. So how does it help you? Hopefully we've explained. You have your bank feeds, your rules, your live reconciliation. It speeds everything up, and your information is up to date. You can log in anytime, anywhere. Pre-COVID, pre all this, I have a client that goes abroad for 6 months of the year, and they feel in control because they can check everything that's going on. They don't need to be in the office. In fact, me and my husband, who also works at Pierce, we joked we could have been sat in Greece during this COVID no one, you can still carry on. We do offer free of charge one-to-one demos. Obviously, during COVID, it'd probably be over a webinar. We normally help with the initial changeover and setup. Why do we really, really want to do that? We've had some clients that have set up on their own, done their own thing. Not least, we have some clients that have been tempted. Some free internet offers were Move My Books. So say you'd been on a desktop system and you were going on a cloud system, these products would offer to move your data free of charge. Now, what was happening? Yes, you got your history on your cloud software, but when it converted the data, it completely screws up your VAT and your bank. And we had one client in particular. I spent every afternoon for a week, 2 hours a day, on the phone with Xero trying to unravel the mess. So we've said, please ask us. Also, the date you change is relatively important. For example, a year end's brilliant, or a VAT quarter end, or at the absolute least a month end. We had a client decided to swap themselves 24th of January. And it doesn't help because you've got your opening balances to make sure that they're all in. The ones that have done it themselves have ended up, we've taken much longer to sort the mess out than the offer of helping them in the first place. And obviously we can log in anytime, anywhere you have a query. We don't need to travel to your site, albeit normally we do like to see you now and then, but with lockdown, we're not able to. We don't have the issue with sending a backup to and fro because of version compatibility. We've even had it with the Sage desktop recently, where there's the Sage drive, a very big client on Sage with the Sage drive, and they said they're on exactly the same version as us. So I logged into them via the Sage drive, and lo and behold, they're on the phone 10 minutes later. None of us can work. We were all on, say, 26.2, but their version was ever so slightly different than ours. Ours was very slightly more up to date, and suddenly 13 members of their staff couldn't use Sage until they'd all updated the desktop, which was horrendous. I think at this point, one of our clients was going to just have a few words. Lisa, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Margaret. Carol, if you want to just share with us your experience that you've had from Xero so far, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Carol. I'm from Brain Debt Limited. I'm one of the directors. I've been working from home because both myself and my husband had to shield right from the beginning. And I did feel I was doing some work from home, but I wasn't involved because I couldn't access any information. We've got several companies going on. The biggest one, Brain Debt Limited, we started on QuickBooks desktop many years ago. Reluctantly, we did it then. I'm a generation that's brought up not with computers, so I've had to learn. So it's been scary. And then QuickBooks has been great, and it did do the making tax digital element that we needed. But the turning point was we were told that we could no longer do payroll after the 5th of April. It wouldn't update. And we're doing sort of 20 odd staff a week on weekly pay. So that was a bit of a crisis for us. So it's like, yikes, we need to change. But speaking to Pierce, they were cool, calm and collected, say, I don't like change. So we decided to do Xero, and it was during lockdown, which was like, oh no, what are we going to do? But Margaret and Greg just took control of everything. They set it all up for us. Somebody did a backup for QuickBooks, which went to Margaret and Greg, and they sorted it all out and then talked us through it. And the lady who's been doing the wages, again, she's been at home because she's 3 young children, homeschooling 2 and a 1-year-old, husband working full time. But she managed to catch up with Margaret or Greg and Phil and sorted out the first week's wages. And she said that was easy. And she's done it ever since. I've got to do it this week because she's on holiday. But she could have done it on holiday, but I didn't want to inflict that on her. So you can get onto it anywhere, and the wages, it just happened. You know, wherever we want. The other staff that we've had in the office, some have been working from home. There's been something done in the office, but with the Xero, we can all get at it wherever we want, whenever we want. If you're an insomniac, you can do your work in the middle of the night in your pajamas if you wanted to, and nobody knows. So Margaret and Greg sorted everything out for us. I also find a big advantage from my point of view is I can speak to them. They speak our language, they're local. I'm not ringing a call centre that could be anywhere in the world and giving them access to our computer. That used to scare me. Peers I trust, and you know they are there at the end of a phone, an email, a Zoom call, whatever, so they help us. I've since done away with the handwritten ledger, which is time saving. The income is tallied up on the reconciliation. You know who's paid what. On the going outside, we've still got the bank statements, and I still check it just to make sure that there's nothing untoward happening, but it's all done on the reconciliation. We've also ditched the handwritten wages book. We still complete an Excel sheet, which the lady doing the wages completes. She emails it to me and I pay the wages. So, but that's only for our own. We don't need that wage sheet, but we do it for our own checking purposes. Submitting the VAT, Greg rang me yesterday actually. It's 3 months since we did the last one, so he's ringing to just go through it with us again or to check us through it next week. It's brilliant. I am so glad we did it. I feel that working from home, I can still see what is going on in my company, and it's cheaper than QuickBooks as well. And like I said, there's no backup or anything. It's just there. I could go abroad for 6 months and still see what's happening with my business. So I love it. If anybody wants to ask me anything, I'm down to earth. We still haven't got all these things that Margaret's just been showing us. I haven't gone on to those yet because I haven't needed them, but we're still exploring it. But what we are using it for is fantastic.
Oh, super. Thank you, Carol. That's good to hear that it is helping you with your business, and ongoing, I'm sure you'll find more reporting as well side of it that will be really useful for yourselves ongoing. So thank you very much.
We do different things for different clients, and obviously we adapt depending what you want. So we can do something like we did for Carol. We went all through it, train and set up to the first VAT return. And of course, we'll be helping with the next VAT return until they're happy and confident to just go ahead. Some clients now, which will be Carol shortly, we just check that you've actually done the VAT return. You know, we're not going through it with you. But then there's some clients that don't want to do anything, and we literally do everything for them. So we can do any of these 4 options or a combination. We do whatever you need. And sorry, back to you now, Lisa. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Thank you. I think we're just over to questions now. So if anyone has got any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask them. There isn't any in the chat box. So yeah, we're just open for any questions for Margaret. And we've also got Georgina. So Georgina's part of the online services team as well. So I'm sure she can help with the questions if you have any. No, everyone's silent, and then afterwards we'll get about 10 emails coming in with questions on them. That's fine. If anyone thinks of any throughout the day, feel free to drop Margaret an email. It's m.scott@pace.co.uk. You can get her on there. We will be sharing the slides as well, and there'll be an audio recording of the session today as well for you. So they shall follow, hopefully, in the next day or so. All right, thank you for joining us, everybody. Good to see your faces. See you again soon.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.